important that you learn what your value proposition is to your customers, because I think it's changed a lot in the last few years. The value that we bring them is not the same value that we bring them today.
Okay.
Because, it's obvious that they can get so much information online and through other means that they don't need us anymore for that specific information. But there's other value that we bring that's crucial, and they need it.
Yeah.
And so I think and each customer might be a little different, but the ability to know a customer and understand what it is that's of value to them and how to bring it, that's a skill set that I think is critical for our field sales role.
Are you ready to elevate your leadership skills in the electronics manufacturing industry? Join Sannah Vinding on a transformative journey as she unlocks the key to exceptional leadership in this dynamic field. Discover invaluable strategies, emerging trends, and best practices through expert perspectives and insightful interviews. This podcast is your ultimate resource for gaining a competitive edge, staying ahead of the curve, and shaping the future. Tune in now and unlock the secrets to leadership success in the world of electronics manufacturing.
Welcome to Mind Innovation Leadership Podcast, empowering leadership excellence in the manufacturing industry. I'm your host, Sannah Vinding, and today I want to introduce today's guest, Adam Anderson. Adam is the Vice President at Norris and Associate. He's a highly accomplished professional with a proven track record of success across various industries. With over 15 years of experience in senior management and sales roles, Adam is a strategic leader known for driving business growth and achieving exceptional results. His expertise in project management, strategic planning, and business development has contributed to the success of numerous organizations. Adam is recognized for his outstanding contributions in the industry. So welcome, Adam. I'm happy we're here finally.
Yeah, thank you, Sannah. I appreciate it. I'm very excited to be here.
Awesome. So I always love to get started because we all have our passion for the industry. So I wanted to hear, what excites you about the electronics industry?
Sure. Well, so when I first entered the industry, I had an engineering degree and I had a business degree, but I knew I wasn't really interested in just the engineering side of it. I really liked being out with people. I love the sales side of it. And so my first job was to work in distribution, and that's how I got introduced to the industry, and really enjoyed it. I love the fact that every day is different.
Yeah.
I'm out in front of customers. They're all different. They have different problems. They're all working on really interesting technology. And there's no end to the challenges. So you're constantly trying to figure out ways to help your customer, introduce solutions that you think will bring them value. And it's just a really challenging and exciting job. So I have enjoyed it, and it's been a great fit.
Nice. It's good. It's good, right? And I can see the excitement as well. So within the company, I know, you're growing, right? You've been hiring into your team as well. So let's touch about a little bit. How do you make sure that the onboarding is on target? And then also, I think if we can talk about the communication, because communicating within your company and communicating with customer is a big challenge right now.
Yeah, it really is. It's things have changed so much in the last few years. As you mentioned, we are in sort of a growth mode at Norris. It's really exciting. We've hired 3 new people this year, and it's great to have some new people on the team. So when we onboard them, we spend a lot of time, obviously, with product training, getting them up to speed. We schedule time for them to spend with each of our principals so they get to know the personalities and the people that are behind the products.
Yeah.
And then we make an effort to try to build the team as well. So we spend time together talking as a group, sharing experiences about what new applications we've seen, what new customer problems maybe we can learn from. And so that's really helpful. The communication piece is really important. We have a regular team meeting where we all get together, and we started off with some good news. So we each share either a new win or an application we hadn't seen before, or just something we think the team could be encouraged by or learn from.
Yeah.
We try to start it out on a positive note, and that seems to be really appreciated. And then, just as far as communication goes, there's so many emails flying around And I find it really challenging because we're just getting so many emails. So I think there's a lot of value in just picking up the phone and having a conversation with someone, whether
Yeah.
it's someone on my team internally or a customer, right?
Yeah.
You can save about 20 emails by picking up the phone and having a conversation. And I think, once you've developed trust with your customer, they'll pick up the phone.
Yeah.
And they'll call you back, and they know that you want to help them. You've proven that you're going to do what you said you're going to do, and so that can really go a long way in having a phone conversation and moving the problem forward.
Yeah. Yeah. They just need to know that it's you calling, right? Because I know if I'm getting a call, right, and it's some phone number, I'm like, it's suddenly some on the East Coast. I'm like, yeah, I don't think so, right? And sometimes I do
Yeah,
pick up, and then it's a sales pitch where I'm like, no, thank you. But
right.
if you have the phone number and you're regular communicating, I think that is the way to, because you get that human touch as well, right? Which is really important.
Yeah, and again, it goes back to building trust. I mean, you have to show the customer over time that you are trying to help them, that you
Yeah.
can bring solutions to them. And once they learn that, they'll include you in their problem solving process, and that's great. That's when you can really grow the
Yeah.
business with the customer.
Yeah. In the new way we're working, right? The hybrid way. If that's what we're calling, I'm calling it a hybrid way. So in the hybrid way of working, how do you fit it in? Because if you go and talk to distributors, right, or you talk to suppliers, and you talk to engineers, or you talk to people from procurement, making sure that you have everybody in the same place. What's your secret right now?
Well, so it's challenging, I guess. The fact that we're hybrid, a lot of our customers are working from home several days a week, maybe in the office a couple days a week. And so what I find is that there's really two types of interaction with customers. There's tactical interaction, which means that they have a problem which needs attention right away. And if that's the case, the best thing to do is to hop on a virtual meeting and bring in the resources, because very quickly I can have a call with my principal, engineers from around the world that can bring support, and the customer, and they really appreciate that speed. They want to get their problem solved quickly.
Yeah.
And so what I try to do is, because I'm local here in my territory, I'll go to the customer in person, and then I'll bring in the rest of the team virtually. So
Yeah.
that way I can read the body language of the customer, and I can see what they're doing, and how they're reacting. But
Yeah.
yet I'm also bringing all the resources from my principal from around the world, if necessary, to solve the problem quickly. So that's kind of the tactical interaction. And then I think the other piece is strategic. And that's where you have a principal that says, hey, we have a new product that we think would be a great fit in your territory.
Yeah.
So we're going to be there in 4 weeks, 5 weeks, whatever. And we'd like you to put together a visit. And that's when you can go to your customer and say, hey, here's what we'd like to present. Here's the value proposition. We really think it'll be worth your time.
Yeah.
And then they can organize their team. They can say, okay, so-and-so will be here on this day, but they're normally not here, but we're going to pull them in. And they can pull a really good in-person meeting, but it takes time, and
Yeah.
you have to plan it.
It's a
So
lot
that's
of
what I'm
planning.
finding.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
a
I
lot of
like
planning.
that. Yeah. Yeah, I like that. But
Yep.
everybody is still hungry, right? If you go to a trade show or anything like a conference, you can see there's a lot of attention right now, a lot of participation. People show up, right? And there's a lot of energy in the rooms or when you walk around. So it's I think that's really nice to see that that's happening at the moment.
Yep. Yeah, there's no lack of activity. Our customers are working on new designs. We're really lucky here in New England. It's a wonderful market. We have all sorts of applications. We have military, medical, a little bit of consumer, a lot of industrial. It's a great mix, and a lot to work on here. So
Nice. So now that you're saying, how you educate, right? The engineers that you work together with, how do you keep yourself up to date with everything is going on within the industry?
yeah, so it's a great question, and I consider myself to be a lifelong learner. I love to read. I love to learn new things. So just a few examples of what I do. I read business magazines. My favorite is Fast Company. I read that cover to cover every time it comes out, and it just gives me a sense of what's going on, not necessarily in electronics, but in the wider market, what sort of trends are happening, and I find that really helpful. And then specifically for New England, I read the Boston Business Journal.
Yeah.
That comes out regularly, and I read that. It lets me know what companies are being bought, sold, who's making an investment in a new warehouse, who's getting venture capital funding. Really interesting, specific to our market. And then, as far as learning the skills that are specific to our industry, I really rely on the ERA. So the Electronic Representative Association for me is extremely important. So I'm a member of our local chapter here in New England, and also participate in national events, especially the ERA conference, which happens in February of each year. It's a really, really great way to learn best practices, learn from your fellow reps around the country. And I think that's a great way to keep your education continual.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. I've been to the year a couple of times now, and it's an amazing conference, and it sells out really quickly, right? So be sure to have a ticket.
It's really it's incredible how much it's grown in the last few years.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite weeks of the year. Every time I leave, I come back and I've got a whole list of new things that I want to try. I feel energized and inspired by some of the speakers and some of the other reps that I've spoken to. So it's great. And I think, as reps, we have a tendency to be a little bit isolated because we're working individually on our own territories. But when you can plug into that bigger industry and see that there are other reps all around the country who are working on the same types of problems, it's really encouraging, and I find it helpful.
Yeah, then you don't feel alone, right? It's like, okay, I'm not the only one. Yeah, and it's easier to ask and say,
feel alone.
No, but it's difficult sometimes, right? To say, oh, I have a question, right? Oh, this is my challenge, and then suddenly when you hear somebody else saying, oh my God, I'm facing the same, suddenly you're like, oh, can we talk, right? Can we chat and get some brainstorming going on?
Yeah, and the cool thing is that we're all part of a great industry.
Yeah,
and our industry is growing. There's no end in sight. The technology that's coming out the next few years with a lot of autonomous vehicles and electric vehicles and cloud computing, and there's just so much going on that we can get involved with. Robotics is a really big one here in New England.
Yeah.
So it's kind of fun, and it's great to be part of an industry that's growing so much.
It is. So I want to go a little bit back because we talked about communication, right? That's a really important skill set. So can you address some other skill set that's also important and necessary to have or actually to develop right now?
Yeah, I think so. You mentioned communication, incredibly important. Listening, both to your customer and to your colleagues. So that's all part of communication. But other skill sets, I would say, is it's important that you learn what your value proposition is to your customers, because I think it's changed a lot in the last few years. The value that we bring them is not the same value that we bring them today.
Okay.
Because it's obvious that they can get so much information online and through other means that they don't need us anymore for that specific information. But there's other value that we bring that's crucial, and they need it.
Yeah.
And so I think and each customer might be a little different, but the ability to know a customer and understand what it is that's of value to them and how to bring it, that's a skill set that I think is critical for our field sales role, because each customer needs something a little bit different.
Yeah.
And I think when they have a problem and they reach out with the problem, that's really where you can make a big difference. If you act quickly and bring a solution very quickly and effectively when they really need it, then you set the stage for future communication. You're building the trust, and I think that's where you can really grow your business with that account. But that's a challenge, figuring out what that value proposition is these days.
Yeah. No, the listening is so important. So you don't just sit there and saying, oh, me, right? Or us. You really have to sit in and listen to what is their challenge. So you can be there at that right point, right? To help them out. Okay. So what about the how to reach, if it's a new customer you're reaching out to? So you were saying before, right? You said, hey, yeah, pick up the phone, right? It's easier. You get through all these emails, right? You get there faster. But if you're reaching like a new customer, how do you approach them right now?
Yeah, so that's a great question and something we're always trying to do better at. So in the past few years, we as a rep firm have made a big investment in marketing. So if you had asked me a few years ago what we were doing for marketing, it really wasn't much.
Yeah.
And these days, we've come a long way. So we now have someone on our team who has a marketing background, and she runs our website, she runs our LinkedIn page, and she does really a wonderful job. So I think it's all about repeated um, touches with the customer, where you're letting them know who we are and
Yeah.
what we have to offer that's beneficial to them. And it may take a number of times where they see, oh, here's who they are, here's what they have to offer, before they, will really make the connection and reach out when they have a need. So I think part of that is marketing, right?
Yeah.
Just getting in front of the customer so they know you, they know what you have to offer. And then when they do have a problem, like I said, you have to jump on that very quickly, handle it really, really well. And then, there are lots of tools these days that we didn't have before. LinkedIn is a great one. I'm on it every day,
Yeah.
researching customers, reading about my customers. Where did they work before? What are some of their interests potentially that might be on there? What can we learn about the customer before we meet them? So that all really helps. And I think customers are less willing to jump on the phone until they know you.
Yeah.
So you might be reliant on email until they really build up that trust level. And then you
Yeah.
can pick up the phone. Hopefully they'll pick up.
Yeah.
But marketing has become more important to reps than ever before, I think.
Yeah. Oh, I like that, because I think it's been taking years for the reps to figure out, right, that it's not just the manufacturer, right, or the principal that's saying, oh, you have to handle that. So I think
Yeah.
you will be in front of you will be a front runner by actually have invested in that growth path.
Well, we're trying, and our goal really is for us to understand the marketing goals of each of our principals and take them, customize them for our particular market,
Yeah.
and make sure that message is being carried down. So we do a lot of joint marketing, where we take some content that was developed by our principal, we add our own spin to it based on the markets that we have here in New England,
Yeah.
and then we publish it as a joint marketing piece where they're seeing the Norris name and they're also seeing the name of our principal. And just building that brand recognition over time, I think, goes a long way.
Yeah. Yeah. So have the expectations back to the principals or the manufacturers, how have that what they should deliver to you on that marketing platform? Has that changed, or is it been, you've been working together on it, so it's just been evolved over the last couple of years?
Well, I think we're putting more pressure on them to create good content,
Yeah.
which is, I think, a good thing, because now we're going to them and say, hey, what do you have for this? What do you have for that? We'd like to do a marketing campaign related to this market or that market.
Yeah.
And it sort of pushes them to develop some of that.
Yeah.
And some principals are better at it than others. But I think the fact that now we're much more proactive around marketing, it's putting some good pressure, I think, on our principals
Yeah.
to kind of pay a little bit more attention to it. Because what we try to do is go to a customer with a new product that we really think is a good fit.
Yeah.
Hey, here's a new product. We really think you'd like it. It would help you for these reasons. So we try to be very targeted about what we go to our customers with.
Yeah.
Again, back to the value proposition.
Yeah, no, it's spot on. It's spot on. Back to the where you said, you it works right picking up that phone. Has there been anything else where you look at yourself and saying, oh, I actually changed some of my habits or how I'm outgoing when I talk to customer? Have you changed over the last couple of years?
I would say well, I would say we're better at looking at data, because we have so much data available to us now.
Yeah.
And it's almost overwhelming. And
Yeah.
we're getting better and better all the time at using it and leveraging it to drive value. But I think when you're talking to a customer, the more you've studied that data and understand kind of what they're doing by what they're buying and how many of what, and if you kind of do some analysis and then you go to the customer and you've kind of put together a picture of what they're doing just based on their purchasing habits, which I'm not sure that we really had the tools to do that in the past. And so that's one thing that's helpful. You can go to them and you're a lot more educated than you were before because you're able to see so much of what they've been buying. So that's one thing. And the other thing I think is just understanding that they are working hybrid.
Yeah.
And they're not in the office every single day. And so that changes things. The expectation that you can set a meeting with them in 2 days and that they'll be there, it just doesn't work that way anymore, unfortunately. I mean, we love face-to-face meetings. That's the holy grail. We're always trying to get face-to-face with customers. But virtual meetings are really great. I mean, they can be really productive and they can be helpful too. So I think just giving the customer the leeway to decide whether they wanted to be face-to-face or virtual. It's not about what we want, it's about what's going to be best for them.
Yeah. So listening in, what they need, right? And what their problem is. Yep. I also think with the virtual meetings, sometimes you can get some of the first initial questions that can help you to that second meeting that could be in person, right? Will actually be much better and bring much more value. But it all depends. That's how it is. If somebody's new to the industry, what kind of advice would you give them? Now that we talked about different skill set, what you've learned, everything else, but if you have to give an advice to somebody, what will that be?
I think that continual learning is incredibly important. Invest in yourself and your education, and just try to learn as much as you can. Network wherever you can. Try to get to know as many people at many different companies and different levels is really important. And I guess my advice would just be to stick with it. And, there's going to be good days, bad days, and that's true of every job. But my philosophy is you just keep getting up and you do the best you can. You work hard all day, and you try to be kind along the way. And if you can do that, then it can be really rewarding. So just hang in there through the challenges, what I would say to someone new to the industry.
Yeah, that's a good advice. I think the networking as well is really important. And again, there's so many people, and then it's still a small industry sometimes, right? When we actually meet at these different conferences and stuff like that. Looking back, if you had, Adam, if you have to give yourself an advice, if you look back 10 years ago, what will that be?
Yeah, good question. I think that as I've gotten older, I've learned to control the things that I can control and to let the rest go. Because I think when you're younger, you spend a lot of time worrying about things that you really don't have any control over. So focus on the things that you can control and do the best you can to control them. And don't worry about the rest of it because there's nothing you can do about it. So I think that would be my advice to my younger self.
It's always easy after, right? To say, this is what I should do. But when you're in it, right? It's always oh, so much going on. But no, I like it. It's make sure, right? What brings value, right?
Yeah. And I think the only other thing I would say as far as advice to my younger self would be try to set goals at a micro level, right? When I start out a week, I try to think, okay, what do I need to do this morning to make it a really good morning? What are the 3 things that would make this a great morning? And then the afternoon, what are the 2 or 3 things that would make it a great afternoon? And if you can do those things, at the end of the day, you've had a great day.
Yeah.
And if you can do that again and again, pretty soon the week's over and you've had a good week.
Yeah.
So, rather than be overwhelmed by this huge goal that you're trying to accomplish the year and all these targets and all these metrics that we all have, just focus on, the next few hours, the next few days ahead, and how can you really do the things that are going to move the needle. So that would be the other piece.
Other one. So I really like that. I actually have, I think you can call it, somebody call it also eat the frog, right? So if you have different tasks for a week, and the one that's the most difficult that you will maybe push to the end, right? If you start on that one, the feeling that you actually accomplished, right? That one just gives you the boost and the energy to go and saying, oh, no, it's so easy with all the other ones. And we all have them, right? We have the easy task and we have the more complex task. So that's how I would as well start with the one that's the most challenging. Even if you then split it up as well or cut it up, that it just gives you that energy.
Yeah, that's great. Yep, the old eat the frog. I think that's Mark Twain that said that, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I've just seen it, but I like it, right? Because it's just get started in a good way. So that's my recommendation. Yep. If some of the listeners want to connect with you, how can they reach out to you?
Well, through email or LinkedIn, I would say. Yeah. My email address is, I guess, will be posted. Yeah. Somewhere, or do you want me to say it now?
Yeah, just say it, and then I will make sure also to put it in the notes.
Sounds good. So my email is adanderson@Norris. I'm sorry, it's aanderson@norrisrep.com. Sorry, aanderson@norrisrep.com.
That's good.
Thank you. Sorry.
Okay, don't worry about that. Okay, so I'll put it in the recording notes, and I will also put it on the episode page on mindinnovation.com. Don't worry,
Sounds
right?
Good.
You'll be easy
on LinkedIn as well. So.
Yeah. I'll make sure to put that as well. So Adam, thank you so much. I think this was great. And what I really, really like here is like the whole value proposition. I think that is so important, and also how to listen to customers. And the last one is my takeaway is also, you're saying pick up that phone and actually make that human contact. It's like the last mile, right? To get a little bit more connected and the urgency with your customers.
Definitely. Thank you, Sannah. I appreciate it. It's been great.
Awesome. If you like Mind Innovation, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and share the show wherever you get your podcast. You can follow Sannah Vinding and Mind Innovation on Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And make sure to check out mindinnovation.com. Stay curious and keep learning. See you next time.